Hi, it's Liz, and today we're going to be doing a tutorial on the rolled hem. You can see the rolled hem at the edges of your shirts, of skirts. You can do them on table napkins, tablecloths. It is very versatile. You can do it as wide as you want or as skinny as you want. I'm going to show you how to do it just on the sewing machine and the iron, using the iron, but I'm also going to be showing you the rolled foot that you can put on your sewing machine, so you can kind of skip the step of the ironing if you're wanting a certain size of the rolled hem. So make sure you stay to the end to watch for that. So this is what a folded hem looks like. I'm just doing a couple folds into itself and then you stitch it down. You can tuck in the corners. This one's just for a napkin. If you're wanting to add a bit of weight like on an apron, gives it a nice crisp line, but also you can make it as skinny or as thick as you want it. You're just pressing down one side. You can determine how thick or thin that you want it. And then you're just going again and rolling it over on top of itself. So if you have a pattern that has a certain measurement for your rolled hem or a certain width, like sometimes aprons have a thicker rolled hem just to give it some weight at the bottom so it sits nicely, or sometimes skirts, but skirts can also have really delicate, small, really thin rolled hems. Same with linens like table napkins, things like that. So it just gives it a really clean looking edge. So essentially rolling it in once, folding it over, rolling it again. So I'll just give you a close-up. You're folding it in once. This is open. Folding it in once. You're folding it again. And then you're going to be stitching right next to this edge. And then you have a really clean finish. So another common rolled hem would be to make it rolled really, really skinny. So you're going to start at one side. You're just going to press it in and then come with your iron all along the edges. Once that's given a really good press, then you would come again and then do another really skinny roll. So this is going to encapsulate your raw edges. Give it a really good press. Then you can decide if you want to leave it like that. You can definitely start sewing that up. So you can sew it like that, or you can sew it if you want a thicker edge. So it comes up and then you sew it in, and then the raw seams are encapsulated, gives you a really nice clean thin edge. Alright, I'll just show you on another piece of fabric. You would go really thin edge. You can also take a ruler to do this. Alright, we folded it once. Now you're going to fold it in on itself again, enclosing those raw edges. Then you can determine the width of your hem. So you could fold it like this and then press it and sew at the top here, or you can keep it like that. You can open it back up and sew just a really thin line. All up to you, all about your design. You can also hand stitch it too, a lot more tedious, but lots of different options to play with. So this is a rolled hem foot. So I would put this in replace of this foot here. And so you would put the fabric in here and the top and the bottom roll into each other so that when you sew it, which this is where your needle is going to be going in, it's already right there. It does take a little bit of finesse and practice. So I have a Janome machine, but to change my foot, I just press this at the very back here and it releases the foot. And I probably need to clean that. So to attach it, and you put it in the bar and it just snaps into place. So I just roll it once over and twice over, and then I put my needle into the fabric. Now it's just finger press. I'm not actually ironing this one. This one you don't have to iron. You can just do it all in one go, so it is going to save you time. Then you put it, hook it through here, and it just kind of guides you. I have my presser foot down, and this is just going to guide you. So we're going to go forward, back stitch, and then I like to just make sure my needle's in before I do any adjustments. And then at the end, make sure I backstitch. So if you see, it's going to give you a nice rolled hem that you didn't have to do any ironing. It's going to give you a clean straight line once and twice. So you need to have your needle in the fabric for this to work. So just bring it over, put your needle in the fabric, lock it down. So now my fabric, I just need to bring this fabric up and in to this little rivet right here so that it's gonna roll. So we're gonna start front, back stitch. We've locked it into place. Okay, so you can see the fabric is in between here. That's what we want, and that's what we need to continue to have, that fabric in there for it to roll. I'm going to show you what happens if I don't have the fabric in there. And I'm like, uh-oh, need to correct itself. I'm going to try to roll the fabric in. Once it's unrolled, it's kind of tricky to roll it back in. So I've lifted it back up. So you can see that it unrolled here. I was able to get it back in, but of course this is not great having the edges exposed. So I would, like, if this was a garment, I would unpick it and then do it again. But this is just a practice one. So if you're having a hard time starting, just put a back stitch into the fabric and just hold the threads. And then what we're gonna do is hold the threads and put that where your fabric is gonna start. Put your needle down, put your presser foot down. So then we're going to put the fabric through the metal. All right, so fabric's in through the metal. We're gonna start doing it and then back stitch. So a common thing is when you're doing it, you don't want too much fabric on this side, so that is too much fabric. It's gonna roll into itself. I'll show you just up there. So you just want probably the presser foot length in your rolled piece. So you don't want it too far over, you don't want too much or too little. So it is definitely a bit of a finicky project, but well worth it once you get the hang of it, and then you don't have to iron and you get really nice rolled hem. All right, so you can see here I put a lot of emphasis on this side and I was pulling it more this way, so my fabric at the back was bowing out. So that's why common one, why you're getting thicker rolled hems, which is fine too. If you do want a thicker rolled hem, no problem. But if you're wanting a same consistency, if you are going to do a thicker rolled hem, I would then pick a line on your sewing machine to make sure that it's consistent. So if your fabric's being pulled too much that way, you can see it's actually rolled in itself and then again. So there's extra piece of fabric here, so that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for, so you can see it started here and I just let the machine take it over, but we're starting to look for this part. So you can see, because I didn't fold over at the beginning and I just wanted to start practicing, this is a great method to try to practice on, just to start getting it. But eventually you're going to want to fold it over. You could also fold it over and press it and then put the string into it to hold it in place while you put the needle in if you're finding your fabric is also slipping out. So if you have really slippery fabric, maybe when you're practice, maybe trying to get something more like cotton or something that is more sturdy, just to practice on. If you go out too far to the left, and then if you go out further to the right, though this can be a look as well if you are wanting a thicker hem. So if I wanted a thicker rolled hem, keeping it and finding a line on this side, and then keeping the presser foot still aligned there because I don't want the fabric folding in and on itself, exposing the raw edges to the outside. So that is the thicker rolled hem. You can see I'm not exactly straight, but it is just something to practice and play with. So it's just rolled in itself on this edge. As you can tell, there's some little bit of loose fibers. So the weight isn't distributed in here like we were doing with our hand rolling. That lighter, that doesn't go all the way or doesn't take out as much fabric as to go to the edges. You can do that as well, but it just gives it a different look. I would give this probably a really good press. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any comments or questions, or if you have another tip about rolled hems, put them in the comments below, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye!